everybody. And this is our pre-Thanksgiving Heart at Work episode, full of gratitude for all the good work that our Bergen County Police do. And we want to welcome everybody here for a rich and meaningful discussion about all the good works that are being done here in Bergen County to address the opioid epidemic, and as well as mental health issues and all sorts of addiction issues. So with that, we're going to start a video of the Bergen County Prosecutor Musella from our Lyndhurst event that was put on by the Lyndhurst Alliance and the police department there. And then we'll, after we watch this short little video, we will turn it over to Prosecutor Musella, and as well as here our lineup for tonight is Matthew Stanislao from Glen Rock Police Department and Russel Reed from the Mahwah Police Department, Jessica Fernandez from the Center of Alcohol and Drug Resources, as well as Chris Rusk from Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. And I'll turn it over to you, Morgan.
I've come to many of these events, and I got to tell you, it never gets old, it never gets easy. And when I walk into the gym tonight, I have not been to an event in a school or a gym, you know, and I took a couple of pictures from up top, and I sent them to my wife and my assistants. And I got to tell you, this is very powerful. I've been to the parks, I've been to the churches, but you know, it's just like there's a disconnect here tonight, right? This is a gym. This is where there's so much life. This is where there's kids playing every day. Last time I've been in the gym was for a basketball game, and it's usually people cheering and yelling and laughing, and there's so much life in the gym, right? And now you look around here tonight, and this is powerful. This is powerful stuff. And I was talking to the chief, and I was talking to the superintendent and mayor, and this has to be done in Nancy D. This has to be done in every high school. We have to bring this to every high school throughout the county. And what happened here today was so important because there were kids here. Okay, they did this during recess today. The kids were here, and it was an assembly. The kids heard this. The kids.
I have a lot of gratitude this Thanksgiving season, and being a woman in recovery from alcohol and drug use for 33 years now, I can say that one thing I've learned in 12-step fellowship is that you have to have an attitude of gratitude. And gratitude is such an act of service, you know, doing something as an act of volunteerism. And I have a lot of gratitude for the work that everybody does in alumni and recovery, especially because there's tons of volunteers. And secondly, I just want to say I have a lot of gratitude, and I want to express it because I think it's really important that we acknowledge the law enforcement agents as first responders to overdose calls. And Prosecutor Musella could be more specific with the numbers, but there's been thousands of overdose calls in Bergen County, and thousands that, you know, are fatal over the last decade, probably a little longer, but I think that's a rough estimate. But still, the magnitude of stress and an honorable act that you officers do in day-to-day responding to our communities. But that in itself, I just want to acknowledge that, and I hope that more people can acknowledge that too. And I hope we all can just, you know, thank an officer over this holiday season, as well as all first responders, EMTs, and fire rescue people as well. So I just wanted to say that in particular. So thank you all. Thank you all. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Prosecutor Musella. And I also just want to say thank him for always showing up at our events that we do live. We do community events, and what we were trying to show was a video that he spoke at, so from the heart, because we partner with the Black Poster Project created by Dee Gillen, and that's hundreds of lives lost to overdose deaths displayed on poster boards. And but anyways, I'm going to turn it over to you, Prosecutor Musella. Hi, welcome.
Hi, Nancy. Good evening. Thank you for having me. I want to thank you for, again, always putting this monthly event together. I want to thank Morgan as well, and I want to thank Alumni in Recovery for organizing the event and for doing this every month. I think, a lot of the things you said you are very important and to the point. It's important that we recognize, our law enforcement officers for the service and the sacrifice that they give us every day in this fight against this opioid crisis, and for really being the boots on the ground and the front line in this fight. So it's important that we do this, and it's important that we thank them. And I thank you because this was, again, your idea, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank our other partners, and I thank them at the end. But I want to thank again D. Gill and the Black Poster Project, and all of you that have these events. And keep these events in the forefront because it's important that we do this. And you were thanking us, but I want to thank you. And as I said, what would have been said in that video if we had played it, and what I said in I think that was North Arlington. It's true. I mean, Nancy, I can't thank you enough for your commitment, for your courage, and for your inspiration, and D as well, and all our partners. You guys inspire us in law enforcement to continue every day in this fight, and so I want to thank you for that. And as I said, and as I say on every event that we have, it's these events raise awareness, these events connect people to treatment, these events end the stigma surrounding substance abuse disorder, and those three things together save lives. So I think together, law enforcement and in partnership with our partners, we're trying to make a difference, but we are saving lives, not to the extent we would like to, but we are saving lives, and every life saved, of course, is a win and a good thing. So again, I want to thank our law enforcement officers. I want to thank our partners. So tonight, of course, I'm here to talk about the opioid crisis in a little more detail, and give some numbers and talk about what we're doing in law enforcement to help fight this crisis. So, first thing I always say is that we're losing people to drug overdoses in Bergen County and in this country every day, and at too fast a rate. Last year, drug overdoses in the United States killed more people than car accidents, gun crime, and the flu together. The CDC announced that we lost over 100,000 people in the United States in 2021 to a drug overdose. 4 states in the United States did not see an increase. New Jersey was one of them, and I like to think that again is because of the forward thinking of the police officers in Bergen County and in New Jersey. So some of the things we're doing in Bergen County to combat the opioid crisis, I'll talk about 3 of them. So some of the things we're doing, the 3 main things that we are doing, we're trying to find ways to always prevent this from happening. We're trying to find ways to connect people to treatment, and we're trying to find ways to divert people from the criminal justice system into treatment as well. So with regard to diversion, with regard to prevention, members of my office, the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office, and the Narcotics Task Force, we're trying to intercept fentanyl every day on the Bergen County highways and across, and at the George Washington Bridge. And we work with law enforcement throughout the county every day in this effort. We're also in the classrooms every Friday. We're talking about pathways to addiction. We're talking to 7th and 9th graders, and we've been doing this for the last 6 years. And in that presentation, we talk about the pathways to addiction being, an opioid prescription after a sports injury, or after like going to the dentist and having the wisdom teeth removed, or we talk about like experimentation with alcohol, marijuana, and pills. And these are the main pathways that we see our youth following into this abusing substances, and we're trying to educate them and try to in order to prevent this from happening. We also partner with the Bergen County Utilities Authority in their recycling events. We urge all our residents in Bergen County to safely dispose of expired and unused medications in local police drop boxes. We need to be mindful of the dangerous drugs in our medicine cabinets. We need to discard them periodically. It is never okay to use expired medication or to share them. So this is also another message that we're getting out, trying to, in an effort to prevent people getting addicted to substances. The second thing we're doing is of course, connection. Police officers play an important role in connecting individuals struggling with addiction to recovery. Last year, since 2014, all police officers in Bergen County have carried Narcan. Last year, we deployed Narcan 368 times in Bergen County. That's almost every day. There were 711 overdoses in Bergen County last year. 155 of them were fatal, but you can see that lives were saved by Narcan deployments. Otherwise, that number would have been closer to, the death number would have been closer to the 711 overdoses. So law enforcement officers are doing their job by deploying Narcan, saving lives, and also through prosecutor's directive, a peer recovery specialist is now called to come to the hospital when a Narcan deployment has taken place. And these phone calls by the officers are just one of the many ways that we're trying to connect people to recovery, to treatment and recovery. Another way we connect people through treatment and recovery is, of course, through the Operation Helping Hand. We partner with local law enforcement in Operation Helping Hand. Again, it's run out of our office in Paramus. We do it 4 times a year at least. And again, it's the Narcotics Task Force with partners in local police departments. And again, we after we arrest people, they're brought to our Paramus office. They meet with a recovery specialist, and they're offered treatment instead of prosecution. So again, you know, this is another way that we're connecting people to treatment, and we're just trying to find connect people to treatment at every interaction with law enforcement officers. And we also, you know, offer for low-level offenses. We have now allowed officers to talk to people about choosing treatment instead of prosecution, and also we allow people to walk in the police department with drugs their loved ones can call. We're not looking to incarcerate people. We're looking to get them into treatment. So these are just some of the many ways we're trying to connect people with treatment through interaction with law enforcement. Third, I talk about the diversion program every time. You know, we started a pilot program in Fairlawn that has been, has been expanded to a regional program where we try to connect people to that are suffering from substance abuse disorder to treatment as early as possible. It started off as a court diversion project. We've also allowed police departments now to offer this at time of arrest. We're trying to set up, and I announced at the Black Poster Project, I think in March in Westwood, that we had gotten the approval and the funding from the county to start a regional, recovery court, if you will, a municipal drug court, if you will. And we have the approval. However, we're waiting for the AOC in Trenton to give us the final approval. We had hoped that the regional recovery court be up and running. We had hoped that it would be up and running by January, by the end of this year. And we're still hoping and waiting, but we have not received final approval from Trenton to open that court. But again, everything it's all set to go. So that will be, that'll be the kind of the first of its kind. It will certainly be the first in Bergen County and one of the first of its kind in the state. But again, there'll be there'll be recovery specialists and patient navigators on call at the court to help assist in getting people into treatment. I also want to use this opportunity to talk about our 1-800 number, Stop the ODs. This is a 24-hour hotline. It's phoned by a recovery specialist or patient navigator. It's manned 24/7 by a live person. To date, we've received over 500 calls to the line, and I'm happy to tell you that 83% of the callers have been connected to treatment. We'll have updated numbers on that as to how many people are staying in treatment, but it seems to be working in the sense that it's out of all the initiatives I've talked about, this initiative has really seen the most traction in that we've connected to the most people and have gotten the most people into treatment. So it's very, I urge you all to try and push this and try and get the word out. about Stop the ODs. We've been handing out cards at all our presentations, and that's why at all our events, I've been now in the high schools handing out these cards, and we're trying to get the word out, Stop the ODs. And then finally, I just want to thank our numerous partners in law enforcement. I want to thank our numerous, which is all the local agencies. I want to thank all our partners in this fight against the opioid crisis. All our partners that we work with every day, and all in events like this that help spread the word. So I want to thank the County Office of Alcohol and Drug Dependency. I want to thank the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources, Bergen New Bridge Medical Center, Felician College, the Black Poster Project, Alumni in Recovery, New Jersey Recovery Addicts Advocates, and again, finally, I want to thank, the reason why we're here tonight is to thank our partners in law enforcement, our municipal partners in law enforcement. I can't thank the men and women in Bergen County law enforcement enough, the 3,000 officers in Bergen County that are, again, the boots on the ground on the front lines of this fight every day. Thank you for the work you do. And again, Nancy, thank you for putting this together and allowing us to thank individuals or officers every month. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prosecutor Musella. I'm really, it always just stuns me. It's how much work, how much different types of avenues that you have created for the county and have worked with so many other people. And the fact that you do go into the high schools and to the middle schools to talk to the kids, as we do in Alumni in Recovery as well. And I think that's absolutely vital. I mean, right now, you know, we're having this conversation and probably everybody that's on it is, you know, probably not in high school at this time, but, you know, there's parents and parents hopefully can learn from just hearing more and these informative conversations. I just can't, I can't emphasize it enough for the need for us to get word out that we're, you know, creating these collaborative discussions because this is such a huge county. And I know I always ask you this, but Prosecutor Musella, how many people are in Bergen County?
1 million. It's
Thank
the
you.
largest county by population in the state, and it's larger than 5 states in the union by population.
Right. And this is, I mean, let's face it, we are under so much stress in our country, and it just in this day and age, there's so many things that are so negative and stressful, and it's so hard for us to talk about. And it just, with all these different people in all these different towns, we've got to find ways to pull it together so we can have these conversations to de-stressify, you know, and so we can help people find the support they need. So thank you again. And I want to go ahead and introduce our next speaker, which is Matthew Stanislao, who is a juvenile officer in a community outreach program. He's also a chair on the Bergen County's Board of Mental Health, and he's also a licensed social worker, which is, wow, Matthew, that is a lot of different qualifications there. And, you know, you also participated in our Pizza Positivity program, and I thank you so much, Glen Rock. That was great, you know, bringing pizza to the inpatient services over at Bergen New Bridge. Thank you. But I can't wait to hear what you're doing and what kind of solutions you bring for prevention and assistance to the great community of Glen Rock.
Oh, well, thank you for the wonderful introduction. It's great to be a part of this team and this effort. When you're both in law enforcement and mental health, you see the problem from 2 different angles. At the height of COVID, the one thing that we saw and many other towns did is younger people walking around at strange hours that we never saw before. And we would stop them and be like, we know where they live. And like, why aren't you home? They're out of high school, but let's say they're like in their early 20s. And they said their parents wouldn't be letting them in the house. And all of a sudden we started seeing cracks in the system where the parents were fearful that their children that were struggling with addiction were going to bring COVID into the house. So they were not letting them back in. live in the backyard or doing where in which they would be separate from the house. And we never knew that these people were struggling with addiction until COVID kind of exposed this particular problem. Then when obviously as things moved on, we started getting vaccinations, people started coming around as far as not dying as many. But other problems started to kind of emerge where the services that were provided for people with that needed treatment kind of were pushed aside because COVID required a lot more space in those services. So people that were struggling with addiction had to kind of wait in line for services. Now we're beyond that. And the things that we're seeing now, or at least the things that in Glen Rock that we're seeing, is the youngest people, the ones in the high schools, have created wellness programs or mental health related programs at a juvenile level under the age of 18. And the kids go to these programs at least once a month, and they'll sometimes have a special guest speaker, or they'll talk about some of the stressors that they're having at school. And it's important because without that, children feel stigma. They may not know the word, but they feel it. And the asking for help thing has slowly actually become something where it's not as stigmatizing to ask for help. So not only are they able to really recognize when there's a problem, they actually know to ask, and there's now a place for them to go in these after school programs. So it's something that I applauded. And when I go into school as a police officer, they see me as Officer Matt. They know me as the juvenile officer, but I support those additional programs, and I let them know, don't let this costume fool you. I'm also a compassionate mental health clinician. And the students look at me a little differently because they're like, we didn't know. And I'm like, well, even if you didn't know, we're here. Just because we're a police officer, we don't just do law enforcement. Like we link people to care. You don't have to be a clinician to do that. And in fact, law enforcement today, especially in my department, we sometimes are literally and figuratively the vehicle for people to get to treatment because they may not be able to really get there. And I've been on at least more than one occasion where she came into headquarters with some form of either addiction, or they were in some type of mental health crisis, and they didn't know where else to go. And they just needed somebody to bring them to treatment. And if we had the resources, which we did, we said, we can bring you. And we actually that didn't really think was going to happen as quickly as possible. But the reason why we're able to do this is because the police are a 24-hour business. Mental health services, whether they be social services coming from hospitals, they don't have that resource like police do. So we're slowly watching these systems kind of come together and say, okay, there's a need here, there's a resource here. They're not a part of the same system. But if once in a while we can kind of bridge these connections and make sure that people that are struggling either with addiction or a mental health crisis can get the care, if the police are available, why shouldn't we be able to do this? And I've encouraged my officers to consider that, so that because sometimes some people that are struggling with just being able to get to care, if we're able to change that or be the resource or be the vehicle to get them there, we should be. And it was 10 years ago, that would have been a very difficult pill for officers to swallow. They would say, I'm not a licensed social worker, I am not a taxi, I'm a police officer, we do law enforcement. Today it's different. Officers across the board are starting to see, no, we provide service. And more so today than ever before, it seems that because there is this need, we should be a resource to our community to do that. And in addition to that, we have also learned, as the prosecutor has said so many times, and it's so correct, if you don't do this, inevitably it becomes a crime. Eventually, the addictions turn into a need for people to steal. So by doing this form of prevention work, we're reducing the amount of crimes that we have to respond to. So it is law enforcement. It is risk prevention. So I'm very proud to be a part of this effort. And I'm looking forward to continuing it and seeing where it's going to go in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love what you said about, them feeling the stigma and, and it's just so important we start giving people the words. And I also like the fact that you said that, you have been creating a vehicle to get people to treatment, and that people can look to law enforcement as that now. That is just a very powerful statement. So this is a disease process, addiction, and it is preventable. It is really the one disease process that we can prevent. And it's so important that we do whatever we can to find the words to, give the words to kids so they can find the ability to consider why they can't just, just say no is not in the language anymore, but what are the words? We got to give the words to the feelings. So thank you. We'll move on, and thanks, Prosecutor Musella. Appreciate it. Yay. I want to go on, and our next guest, who is a detective with the Mahwah Police Department, is Detective Russel Reed, otherwise known as Rusty. And he's with the Juvenile Bureau of Property and Evidence Manager. And he had us come on and speak to the other juvenile detective bureaus and bureau detectives, and Morgan was there. And thank you very much for having our alumni and recovery members come and speak to the rest of the detectives. I think that was just an awesome opportunity. So with that, everybody, I give you Detective Russel Reed.
Thank you very much, Nancy. We really appreciated having you guys. You did an excellent job at our association meeting. And obviously, to return the favor, you asked me to come here and speak about what opiates are like in our town of Mahwah. Obviously, it's affecting everybody. Being the property evidence manager, I'm seeing everything come in. Just to give you some numbers, the past 2 years, heroin possession charges have gone up in our town 50%. 2021, we had 90 arrests for possession of heroin. That wasn't including distribution charges. 2002, this year, we're seeing a lot more fentanyl pills. We're not even really seeing as much heroin. The past 3 months, we've had a combined 500 milligram pills of fentanyl, when just a speck of that could be lethal. So this problem obviously isn't going away. 90% of the arrests we made, drug arrests this year, were all related to heroin and fentanyl. But we're making efforts to try to combat this epidemic like everyone else throughout the county. We do have a Project Medicine drop box. One thing I want to share with you was, every month I'm emptying this thing. The past 3 years, we've had a steady increase in the number of prescription medications that are getting dropped off to our police departments, which makes me question a lot of these doctors that are prescribing medications. I'll just show you, if I could share my screen. I just have the 2020 to 2022 breakdown of these statistics. Did you see that? They come up.
Does it say if you're able to share your screen?
No, it's not allowing me to, but that's fine. I could just read it off. It's
All right.
try to share the screen, but it just kicked me back. But anyway, with our Project Medicine drop 2020, we had for the whole year, we had 250 pounds of discarded prescription medications that we got rid of and destroyed. 2021, we had 300 pounds of discarded prescription medications. This year, we're up to 340 pounds of prescription medications that we're discarding. It's a great program. We're able to get a lot of this stuff out. Like the prosecutor said, they're all over the county. Make sure you're keeping those excess prescription medications out of your households. I'm pretty busy doing that, but like I said, it just makes me wonder what's being prescribed by some of these doctors, because we have kids coming in from ages 20 to elderly people coming with their prescriptions, from Oxycontin, Percocet, Xanax, Ambien, Adderall, Suboxone. We're seeing it all, but at least we're getting rid of that stuff. So it is a program we have. If you go on the website, basically you could see all throughout the county where those drop-offs are. So we're trying to help out with that. Also, each one of our officers are trained in Narcan at the start of their shifts, along with their defibrillators and oxygen tanks. They have to have their Narcan kits. Wanted to share the screen just to show the deployments. We've saved a lot of lives. 2015, we had 3 deployments, 2 saves, 1 death. 2018, we had 8 deployments, 7 saves, 1 death. 2020, we had 10 deployments, 7 saves, 3 deaths. 2021, 12 deployments, 11 saves, 1 death. And this year, we're up to 13 deployments, 12 saves, 1 death. So as you can see, Narcan is saving a lot of lives. But obviously that's steadily increasing too. So, the problem is out there. When I talk about this, I like to at least talk about the Good Samaritan law. Those of you that aren't aware of what it is, basically anyone acting in good faith while providing medical assistance is immune from any type of legal liability. Also, the Overdose Protection Act allows you to report drug overdoses without being arrested. So it's very important that everyone's aware of those laws. We're still getting in our schools. We have 5th and 7th grade lead. I'm still a lead officer. I'm in the schools talking to the kids about making the right decisions. When Alumni and Recovery came and spoke, they actually they said something that really resonated to pretty much all the students and police officers. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So we try to, really impress upon them to make the right decisions, surround themselves with the right people. In 5th and 7th grades, we're doing our junior police academies where we're going to actually get AR, Alumni and Recovery, into that program. I think that's going to help. So we're going to have to talk about that, Nancy, getting you guys scheduled to come in because you really made an impact on our 11th grade high school students. We had you guys come in 2 years ago and speak about, we actually have a Not Even Once program that we kind of piggybacked off Mahwah PD. It's a 3A program. We teach to our 11th graders. Myself and 2 other officers go in. We basically just talk about our experiences with opiates, on the job. And it's 2 days of that. The 3rd day, we have Alumni and Recovery come in and speak to the students about, all their experiences. And that really seemed to hit home because a lot of our students do relate to a lot of those coaches who are from Bergen, Passaic County. We actually had a girl, I think, speak, and at one point she went to Mahwah High School. So it really made a huge influence on our kids, and there was great feedback from them. But I think we just need to keep educating our youth. Those individuals that have the issues with the opiates, we need to continue counseling them. And obviously the distributors that are getting the drugs out in the street, stiffer penalties, and as a team, just working together as a county to try to combat this epidemic. So I look forward to having you guys speak in our high school and our junior police academy again. And if there's anything else I can offer to you, I'm always here. You have my information. And that's pretty much it from the Mahwah Police Department end. Are you muted?
Yeah, it's okay. It just takes me a second. Thank you. Wow. Both of you gave such different aspects of what law enforcement's about and what you've been doing. And I got to say, all those discarded meds, I am serious. Think of the landfill on that one. And as a nurse, it's just the education that is needed, that maybe possibly we can open the minds and educate even, doctors. I mean, I realize there's so many different layers of all that, but I just think that it is such an important time for us to, again, be able to put the ability for us to think through why we take a substance to begin with, because it's just so readily available. Oh my goodness, I couldn't get over all those discarded meds that you were talking about.
Yeah, and it's going up every year, so it's pretty alarming.
Yeah, and thank you again for bringing up just the importance of Narcan. I don't think we can stress that enough. And we always talk about the Good Samaritan law too. And I'm so glad to hear that. You know, I think it's so important that each kid and parent knows what the Good Samaritan law is, because they, you know, we need to just keep them educated on it. You know, today I heard of another young person that died of an alcohol and drug related death. And it just, I don't even know that person, but you know, there's a family like in such pain tonight. And, you know, we can, and it's right, it was in Northvale area, you know, and it's just that is my backyard. And I just really believe that we can make a difference with what we're doing. And through this venue, I think that we can build upon it. And there's so many pieces of which we can build. And I'm so grateful for you coming on today to speak. And thank you for all the work you do, both
My
you.
pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jessica Fernandez. I see you there, Jessica. Jessica is the Director of Recovery Programs. I think you're a peer recovery specialist. Am I correct?
I am not. I'm a licensed social worker.
Oh, well, thank you. She's a licensed social worker that works for the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources. I love talking to Jessica. She's always a breath of fresh air. She's always so positive when you speak with her, and so engageable. And I'm sure you're helping a lot of people out there. So I can't wait to hear what you're doing over at the center.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, thank you for inviting me here. And also thank you to law enforcement. I think really starting off and setting the tone of what's going on in the community and how everyone is kind of helping out is really great to touch on. I think Bergen County specifically, we're really tackling what's happening as a team, and we're all kind of holding our hands together. And I learned that from Morgan, who said that to me once. And we really are trying to fight the fight as one and not be against one another. So I think that's something really amazing to highlight. And so at the center, recovery support is working in so many different capacities where we're reaching people in so many different ways. So in the hospital, when someone is overdosed and, you know, they're brought to the hospital from the police department, working with Operation Helping Hands, and, you know, if someone is arrested, or so many different areas and community outreach tables that we've been starting to do, which is again in addition to working with law enforcement. So in Lodi, in Garfield, in Englewood, and hopefully in Elmwood Park soon, we've been able to do these monthly community outreach tables where we station ourselves in the same spot each month. We're hoping that it's going to continue to be, you know, every Thursday in a specific town so everyone knows where we are. But what we've been able to do is provide Narcan kits and fentanyl testing strips, resources, and a whole bunch of information to the community. And, you know, starting this effort in July and doing this to now, we've been able to create relationships, you know, with people who know that we're going to be there, and we're able to connect with them because we are a resource that is able to meet someone in the community. So as recovery support specialists, not only are we providing a person who has lived experience and is a long-term person in recovery, we're also able to meet them where they're at mentally, physically, in the community, and wherever that may be. And to have that resource is so vital for someone who feels like they have nothing right now. So to be that person for someone who they think they want treatment, they're not sure, but they want to talk to someone and they want to see what those options look like for themselves, we're going to be that person for them. And so with these tables, we've been able to send people from Englewood to treatment. We just recently checked on them. They reached out to us. So they reached out, they said, we're ready. You know, you came here last week, we're ready to go. Can you send me today? And we were able to send them. And so they are still in treatment today, which is amazing to be able to see and to have that ongoing relationship, to know the progress of those things. So, you know, we're just continuing to do so much in the community, and you know, partnering and having meetings with emergency departments and police departments, and getting the resources out there as far as the hotline number, and letting everyone know what's available, so that the hope doesn't end, but also the help doesn't end. And so it doesn't end where you have to be alone fighting this fight. You know, we're all here together. And I think seeing the center partner with law enforcement shows that, like I said, we're on the same team and we're all looking to reach everyone in such a different way. You know, one thing that I've been able to recognize when we're with law enforcement is that they know everyone in the community. And so they are that resource that knows who needs help and who's been reached out, who's, you know, been Narcaned. And so they invite those people to the table. You know, they have those existing relationships. And so then they bring them to us and they realize that law enforcement wants them to get the help that they deserve. And so we're able to kind of then do that warm handoff and link them to the services that they need. One thing that I want to include, I'm going to put it in the chat for everyone, is that we have scheduled all of our community outreach tables for November. So we have Lodi, Garfield, and Englewood all on the schedule. So I'm going to put that in the chat so everyone has that, so they know what's going on. And I also listed the address for everyone. So if anyone knows of a person who may need any type of resource or Narcan kits or whatever it may be, we are out there. And I'll also list the hotline number for everyone. So like Mark had mentioned in the beginning, it is, you know, it's 24/7. It's a recovery specialist that's going to answer that call. And if it's not, it's a patient navigator. And we are able to talk to that person or the loved one who is calling for someone else and provide them with the support and the resources that they may need. So I'm going to add that all in here for you, so you guys have access to that, and also my contact information so that it's there for everyone. And that's what's going on at the center. We're always busy. We're always doing things. We're always looking to get involved. You know, the nurse at Bergen County College reached out to me last week and she said, I need people to come and talk about what's going on in Bergen County with fentanyl. So I reached out to Rich from the DEA and he's coming with me, and we're going to talk to the college students and let them know what's happening and what we're doing in the community so that they know we're here. And I think the great thing about that is that if it's not them, it's someone that they know who needs help, and it's someone that we can be a resource for. So, you know, we're excited to be a part of everything that's going on and all the ongoing efforts that are happening.
Hey, thank you. My goodness. I love the bridge that you have with the law enforcement around Bergen County. And I love what you said about that law enforcement knows who needs help, and that also, I love how you call it the warm handoff. It's just such a, I think that I can't say enough about how wonderful of a program that is, that enables people to know that they can get help. And you know, you just mentioned all these great resources you have, and thank you. I see that you put it up there, and hopefully, yeah, maybe Morgan can even grab that. She's our social media manager too. And you know, yeah, and we could put that on our site as well, because that you know, to get the free Narcan kits, and just thank you. You're a valuable resource, is hence the name. And you know, people can continue to just get the help they need through you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, really. So, and another incredible resource that we have, and that people don't know necessarily where to find you unless you're talking on one of these presentations, is Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. I have worked at Bergen Newbridge Medical Center for many years, so I know how to get there with no problem. But many people don't even really understand what Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is about, which was Bergen Regional at one point, which was Bergen Times at one point. But Bergen Newbridge Medical Center it's incredible. And Chris will tell you more, but I'm pretty sure they have 120 addiction service beds, which is a huge amount of beds. And on top of that, I know that Bergen Newbridge was one of the, I think it was the only one in the state, and I could be wrong, Chris, correct me, that was open for inpatient treatment during the COVID pandemic shutdown time. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of the things during, even in the beginning, one of the things that we noticed was, working in the medication-assisted treatment program, there were medications, especially if it was like an injectable, we couldn't do that over the phone via telemedicine. So every single day we were open, and it was challenging, but we heard again and again and again from the patients that as things were shut down, there's really nowhere to go. And what a difference it made to be able to have a place to show up, to have something to do, to be able to connect with other people. The precautions at the time with social distancing, everyone participated. We made sure that the chairs were distanced. We had things, everyone could come in and wipe down their own chairs. And so everyone felt safe coming in, provided the PPE at the time when we really didn't know what was going on. It was a really good experience. We were happy to be able to provide that sort of port in the storm, so to say. A lot of people did say that it made the difference. So my name is Chris Rusk. I'm the director. Hi. I'm the director of medication-assisted treatment and recovery support services here at Bergen Newbridge. I actually started here as a volunteer in 2016 on the withdrawal management, and which is now detox, and basically just absolutely fell in love with the work, seeing how tragically this could take someone out of themselves and out of their lives, and then to be able to make a contribution and help people kind of empower themselves to move back and move through the world in their lives the way they wanted to. I wanted to say thank you to you, Nancy, for having us here, Alumni in Recovery, Prosecutor Musella, and all of our partners in law enforcement for all that you do. We really have a no wrong door approach here, which is so important. Whether it's facilitating CIT training, or just having the ED open so that if someone is in crisis and needs to be diverted, to be able to receive them, so that you guys can get back out there to the good work you're doing without having to navigate any of our paperwork or anything like that, and to just be able to take someone in and take it from there. We want to be the best partners in the community we can, and that includes with our partners with first responders. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about the types of services that we offer here. One of the unique things about Bergen Newbridge is that we are able to have the full continuum of care here, starting from that acute medical withdrawal management detox experience, where there's just 24/7 doctors, nurses, to help them through that very difficult and in some cases potentially dangerous stage, to really even be able to get ready for treatment medically. And the team there, the counselors there worked to really make sure that we can take someone at that point, educate them on what the types of treatments are, and then step them down to either a short-term inpatient if they need to be out of the environment a little bit more, or to an outpatient. And one of the things that we had noticed was that sometimes traditional treatment can be a little fragmented. Someone might go and it's sort of a closed episode. There aren't those warm handoffs we've been talking about. And then they kind of have to start over somewhere else. And so sometimes there are also services where in traditional treatment, it's like, well, we don't do that here. We can't provide legal services. We don't do housing. We don't do employment. We don't do those types of things. And a big part of what we've been doing here in the addiction service line is looking for ways to close that gap, wherever that was. And we really sort of take kind of more of a holistic approach to treatment, in the sense that we understand that there's a lot of different ways that addiction and substance use can impact someone's life. It could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be the neurological, it could be a response to trauma. And there's a lot of secondary issues that could be caused through someone's active use that now are these very active stressors that maybe aren't addressed through traditional treatment. So if someone is going to be kind of on this path to wellness, we want to make sure that we're providing as many different services as possible in an integrated way. They don't want to have to tell the same story 7 times to 7 different people who maybe aren't even talking to each other in treatment, and getting different messages there. So one of the things that we offer is we started the medication-assisted treatment program to be able to handle some of the cravings in very early recovery. If someone is sort of reestablishing that equilibrium through treatment, that takes a long time. And we're dealing with people coming out of or coming into treatment in the first time where coping skills are at their lowest, stressors are at their highest, as there may be a lot of cleanup. and being able to provide that additional support to just be able to get that relief from that constant intrusive urge. Where, you know, if you look at it from a neurological standpoint, that's something where, you know, we always say, you know, substance use and addiction doesn't care what our hopes and dreams are. They don't care what our goals are. They don't care how bad we want something. It's going to do what it does, and it's sort of the screaming 2-year-old that wants the cookie. You know, you can't really negotiate with it or reason with it, and to have to push through all of that. You know, and to be able to offer some relief to that, in addition to treatment. And sometimes what we see is that with medication-assisted treatment, there's a big focus on the M for the medication. We got to make sure we're putting the T in the MAT. And what we've done with that is through some additional grant funding and just support from the hospital, we've grown from a pilot of 6 patients to now we have over 120 patients with room to grow. We've added a full-time attending psychiatrist. We've added a full-time nurse. These are counselors that are able to provide additional individual therapy specific to substance use and that emotional regulation and, you know, enhancing motivation. And it's made a difference. And so we can close some of those gaps where someone can come in and sort of say, okay, look, you know, this is great when I come into IOP, you know, and I'm here for those hours or I'm here in group, but then you know, it's Thursday night. I don't know, you know, there's really nothing to do. I'm feeling stressed out. Maybe I get into an argument with someone, you know, to be able to really learn how to manage those things and build in additional coping skills. We've added a peer recovery center to be able to help people connect with pro-social recreation opportunities. While we don't do those legal or housing types of things, there are countless services in the county that they can come in and work with a peer who's been there, who's in active sustained recovery, and can meet them where they're at and sort of say, hey, listen, you know I needed this, but let me connect you with this person. Come on in, we'll make a phone call. Let me connect you with maybe something like a New Jersey reentry or something, or just anything that's these bundled suites of services that help them get what they need. Because if I guess the best way to look at it and the way we really approach treatment here is that while we have all of the clinical tools, if I have those emotional issues, if I'm having trouble with self-regulation, if I don't have any friends yet, you know, if I don't have anything to do, if I'm not connected, and I don't have a job and my housing situation is rocky, the answer to that might not be more IOP. You know, and what we look at is that if there's a lack of resources in one domain, we might not solve that by doubling down resources in another domain. And so what we want to do is really help people identify what all of their holistic needs are. And this program, because we've integrated it, can flex across all of those needs. So if someone finds, hey, you know what, now that I am sort of stabilizing in my recovery, I find that I want and need more for myself, or I am feeling ready to maybe go in and do some individual therapy, or I'm more open to working on anxiety or depression or panic or trauma or whatever it is, we can support all of that. And that's really kind of how we approach it. And so whether anyone needs treatment at any level, we can come in an assessment. They can come in and see us. If we determine collaboratively with them that they maybe need more, we can move them in. If they come in and they say, look, I need help, and I really kind of can only commit to outpatient, and it's determined that maybe they do need withdrawal management because they're at risk of dangerous withdrawal, we can do barrier-free handoff to that. Some other things that we've added too, besides family night for the community in the recovery center, we've also added some, I guess, things for the community that are more open. We're participating in events with everyone, but that's really kind of how we approach it. And wherever they come to us, whatever they need, we can layer that in and really kind of build that menu for them that's individualized. So, that's how we approach it. And thank you for hosting us. And I'm going to post my email. If anyone wanted to reach out, we do have the access number for the hospital. I can post that. It's a 1-800 number. They'll do the screening right away. But whether it's medical or psychiatric or anything that they need, or all of the above, we want that one point of contact. So thank you again for having us. I'll post that in the chat. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Great info. I can't believe you covered so much about Bergen Newbridge services in such a short period of time. Bravo. Really well done. I know that's not an easy job. That's not an easy task, but you did a great job doing it. And thank you for saying that you would put some of the links in the chat. Please, people, just grab these numbers that people are putting in here. Thank you again. And look at this. Look, we're like showing all these ways that we can integrate services with around Bergen County. And I love that. And it really, again, our law enforcement deserves a big round of applause. Please, like I said, for this Thanksgiving, go thank a police officer. I mean, I think that is so important. I'm thinking that, Morgan, we need to make a little slide on that. That would be great for our social media, just because it'll help people realize that those are words that they can put in their vocabulary, that you all are showing up on the scene. I know I've been an EMT. You always have been the first ones there because they had to wake me up out of bed, to get to the scene, but you're already there with the oxygen on somebody and what have you. You've shown up, you've done the AED, and and in the case of overdoses, you have come on the scene ASAP to help provide life-saving Narcan, and that is just a fabulous thing. So thank you again, Chris. I want to say that this wonderful picture that I'm looking at right now is from the Overdose Awareness Day that Dee Gillen of the Black Poster Project and us with Alumni in Recovery did alongside the prosecutor's office. And they did such a wonderful job. The prosecutor's office had a great event out in front of the courthouse green in Hackensack. And these are some of the fine law enforcement agents from Lyndhurst, who just hosted a really good Black Poster Project Alumni in Recovery community event at their high school gymnasium. And that was great. And, we can't do any of that without Dee Gillen and the hundreds of posters that she creates for parents that have lost their children to overdose deaths. She does this all by hand, and she treats each and every one of them individually with love and care. And if she's here, I'd like to know if she'd just come on and just say a few words. I'm not really quite sure. She's probably doing something very crafty at home right now.
I'm here.
She is. Hi, Dee. It's my partner.
So I just want to take a minute to reiterate everything everybody has said about our law officers and everybody. It's humbling as a parent for me that I've lost my son. He's on a poster, and I fought that fight for 10 years. He's gone 7 now. I wish we had all this help. I didn't know if we had all this help, the 10 years I was going through it with my son, but it's amazing. And it's really humbling for me as a parent to be surrounded by people like all of you, everything that you do in this field. And, like, my fight's over. My son's gone. But you guys are here every day, going at it every single day with other people's children. And it is just so humbling to be surrounded by all of you. And I just personally want to thank every one of you. The work you do, it's just amazing. It's very humbling as a parent to be with all of you in this, moving forward with all of you in this. And that's what I wanted to say. We have an event in Kearney as well, Alumni in Recovery and the Black Poster Project. Nancy speakers will be in school Friday. And then we have a 6 to 8 community event in the evening. So then we're taking a little break. Right, Nancy?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can find all of our information on Alumni in Recovery's Facebook page. It's also on Instagram. But we have all these like little things that we're doing right now. You can buy baked goods from us. You can go to Chipotle in Closter. And, Prosecutor Musella, do you have any other words that you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
And I just want to thank Nancy and Morgan and Dee for all the work you guys do. I want to thank our partners at Newbridge Medical Center. I want to thank our partners at Children's Aid and Family Services. I know I saw Ellen Elias on as well. And I want to thank Jessica and again, Officer Matt, Officer Russ, Chris, Nancy highlighted, all the different ways we're trying to connect people to recovery. You're just trying to think outside the box, the different, just really just the different sea change and the way law enforcement approaches this now. We're all partners. We're all working together. And I think you can really see from tonight how every one of us brings something to the table in this fight. And we just got to keep at it. We got to keep at it every day. Listen, what Russ said about the juveniles and the schools and trying to get this message into the schools. I saw that when I was at Lyndhurst. I thought that was very important. We got to get this. It's great that we're all on here tonight, but we got to get this message to the kids. So that's very important. And and again, what Matt said about police officers not being a taxi and that we're reducing crime. We're doing that, but more importantly, Matt, reducing crime means that we're saving lives because we're getting these people into treatment. So it's just all these different connections. And again, the beds at Newbridge Medical Center and the center, Children's Aid and Family Services, the recovery specialists and the patient navigators, and they're with us at Operation Helping Hand, and they're with us with Stop the ODs, and they're with us in municipal court. So it's just all of us, as Dee said, working together, and we just got to keep it up. And I'm just humbled and proud to be part of this. And again, you guys inspire us. Listen, those black posters, those are every single one of them. It's somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's loved one. And that it's really a powerful message that we have to do better, and we have to continue this fight every day. So thank you for, again, your commitment, your courage, and your inspiration, Nancy and Dee and Morgan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Morgan did a great job on our video production yet again. So thank you very much for making this happen. Please, again, if you want to find more out about the programs that we offer, please just go on our social media, Alumni in Recovery. And thank you, everybody. And thank you, officers, for being here tonight, and Jessica and Chris.